What's going on, guys? Midwest Tokusatsu here. So this is going to be somewhat of a ramble/rant video on kind of the current state of Power Rangers and why Power Rangers as a franchise needs to evolve in order to survive. So this came from kind of like events over the weekend pertaining to Hasbro potentially freezing the Lightning Collection and also, not having a show next year, waiting for the potential reboot. And just some fan comments on where Power Rangers is currently at in the pop culture stratosphere and why it's not as good as some might think it is. So one of the most outspoken people in the fandom about this has been Jinsaku on Twitter, and he says that the Power Rangers that we currently know and love will never work in America and never will be a successful brand that makes money outside of this niche fandom. Unless you shake things up and appeal to the general audience, you have to get rid of a lot of things about the show to do so. And he had a second tweet that kind of got me thinking, where I think the need to make it for 6 to 8 year olds won't make it money either when 6 to 8 year olds are watching other better made shows. The only people watching Power Rangers are 16 and up, meaning the core people in the fandom, that is. And I've said the same thing in the past before too, where the producers have said the show's target audience is 2 to 6 year olds, which is even lower than that. So because a show like Power Rangers should be aiming for at least kids, not little baby's first superhero type of kids, it's supposed to be a little more than that. And I'll even go as far as to say that it should try and appeal to a more general audience, because in this current pop culture landscape, the way Power Rangers does things now really doesn't work. A few months ago, I was talking to one of my younger cousins, and he's 8, mind you, and he told me that he's kind of grown out of Power Rangers and moved on to Pokemon. If Power Rangers can't even compete with Pokemon of all things, we've got a real problem here. Because Pokemon is kind of already seen as a thing for young children, to at least people outside of, that fan base. So if Power Rangers is seen as lower than that, that really can't be good. And it's been this way since the beginning of the Saban Era. And I'll explain to people, Power Rangers is not good right now, or what it used to be, and they'll think that maybe I just grew out of it or something, and that couldn't be further from the truth, because I've been following this franchise since I was a literal toddler, and thing is, I've just seen it actively get worse. RPM was, I feel the last great season of Power Rangers, and then Saban buys the franchise back from Disney and we get Samurai, and I'm okay, what happened here? This is not the same show that I watched a year and a half ago. Something changed. The actors were very phoned in, the dialogue was dumbed down to a preschool level. Case in point, when Antonio debuted, Emily was wow, he's so sparkly. Really? And it only got worse when we got Megaforce and Super Megaforce, where that was just a bare bones nothing show almost. It was basically reduced to, we're gonna get you, you bad guy monster, you. Just no substance. Dino Charge, granted, was slightly better, but it still couldn't quite shake the cringe of Neo Saban, and then the next year we got Supercharged and it was right back to being mediocre. Then Ninja Steel, of course, is when we started getting the comedic duos every year, and apparently that was a mandate from Saban at that point, according to Simon Bennett. But they were kind of more so forced to do that, even if it had no bearing or place in the story at all. And then when Hasbro bought the brand, we've kind of been left with the Neo Saban leftovers, starting with Beast Morphers, and that continued the trend with the comedic duo of Ben and Betty, and while not being quite as bad as Victor and Monty, I still could have done without them. And now Beast Morphers for me is kind of similar to Dino Charge in a sense where, yeah, it's an improvement, but it still has that cringe of Neo Saban that it can't shake. There's still cringe dialogue, cringe plots. Where was one episode where Robbie was afraid of going to the dentist. Who wants to watch that? This is who is this for? Well, the 2 to 6 year olds, of course, but still, this is below Power Rangers playing field. But I would still put Beast Morphers over Dino Charge, because their second season still had a lot of highlights, but still, it's not enough to capture a general audience. And that's really what this brand needs if it's going to survive. And Dino Fury, once again, not as bad as what we've gotten before, but still not enough. The overall tone is just not enticing. It's the last, Cosmic Fury is, this and Cosmic Fury are going to be the last of the Neo Saban leftovers. And while I can't speak for Cosmic Fury yet, Dino Fury has still had that signature Neo Saban cringe dialogue. Like, they gave some of the worst dialogue to Ion, where I feel like he doesn't talk like a person at all. Like, in one of his earlier episodes, where he, like, saved, like, a ice cream stand or something, it's like he was obsessing over ice cream like a 5-year-old. And compared to a lot of the other media that kids have access to these days, it's like, this just isn't gonna do it. Now, from what I'm hearing, Cosmic Fury is going to do away with the filler episodes, and it's just going to be all plot. So it's going to be a little more focused, being, just 10 episodes. But as good as it could be, like, it's still attached to Dino Fury, and overall, that's not really going to save it for me. So this gap year or whatever really gives them time to, like, figure out what they want to do with this brand. Because if it's going to do well, like, they can't just target that 2 to 6 demographic. Like, that's not sustainable. And, like, fans who say that, it's just a kid's show and, like, are complacent with this, it's just like, if you want to see the show continue, like, it has to be sustainable and it has to reach a wider audience. And I don't think some fans understand this. Like, if Power Rangers is going to be on the same level as, like, Transformers or Ninja Turtles, like it should be, they really have to raise their standards. So first and foremost, what they need to do is fix that juvenile dialogue, because I believe if you fix the dialogue, that does a lot towards fixing the tone, the overall tone of the show. Second thing, don't get so fixated on Mighty Morphin nostalgia. Like, yes, the fans love and respect Mighty Morphin, but we also realize that it has its problems with, subpar writing and being very formulaic, and then just having a very outdated formula, really. And the general consensus of Power Rangers outside of the fandom is that, they only really know Mighty Morphin, and it's, like, cheesy, corny, cringe. And modern-day Power Rangers trying to constantly tie itself to that really isn't helping its reputation. And then third, I think they should really make an attempt to try and compete in this current media market, because I feel like the people behind the current show aren't watching, like, other contemporary kids media and trying to, play on that level. They only see it as like that cheesy kids show from the 90s, and they just actively keep it that way. So I really don't understand their mindset behind their complacency and just, like, not making Power Rangers more challenging as a show. So if this new reboot is going to get anywhere, it has to actually make an effort to compete in contemporary media. Now guys, I don't want to come off as overly negative, but I feel like some things here need to be addressed. And I'm holding no illusions that anyone at Hasbro is even going to see this, but hopefully, like, enough, like, fans can pass this around to, start more of a discourse. But anyway, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. Let me know down in the comment section, do you think Power Rangers needs to evolve as a franchise? Why or why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to like my Facebook page, Mills Tokusatsu. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And this is Mills Tokusatsu, signing out.